Hey, I'm back. This is Chandler for Melda Production. Today we're going to talk about layering in MDrummer. MDrummer is incredibly powerful and it can do lots of things, but it may not be obvious at first exactly how to layer your drums. So I'm going to show you how to do this today. Somebody asked me about it. I thought I actually did a video about this, but maybe I didn't. So I looked, I didn't see one, but maybe it's just my bad searching. So I apologize if I've already done a video on this, but I'm going to do it again and I'm going to try to add some other things that maybe I didn't show in the previous video. So there's two different ways to do it inside MDrummer. I'm going to show you both and I'll try to talk about the pros and cons of each. But first, let's listen to the drum samples and the kind of beat I have here. Fairly basic, nothing to really talk about there. So let's get into the drum set editor. There's lots of things I could really layer here. Let's start though with the hand clap. So I have this hand clap. It's going through some distortion, and just to make things easier to hear, I'm going to get rid of this. Okay. So what we're going to do is just add two more hand claps to this so it sounds like multiple people clapping. There's lots of different samples and things I could do with this, but let's try the synthesizer 4in. The first way we're going to do this is through this velocity layers. It says velocity layers here, but we're not actually going to use velocity. To add another layer here, you see this. This is our main layer. You can also trigger it here. We're going to click a plus. Now you see we have different layer. We could use the sampler, but as I said, we're going to use the synthesizer 4in. Let's look here under percussion and choose clap and make sure we hit this. Be careful, if you hit this one, it's going to play all of them, or in this case, it's going to hit just the first. So there's our clap sound, but I think, this is a little bit too high pitched, so I'm going to move this down. Just adjust the pitch here. Around here. A little bit higher. And here. So there we go. We have two different sounds there, but let's add one more. I like the basic sound of this, so what we're going to do is just copy it. If you click this, it'll just copy this one lower, like this. We're going to use the same thing, so this. And let's just adjust the pitch. We could try adjusting some other stuff too, like minimal frequency here. Not too much difference. Add a little bit more punch. And other things we could do too, if I make it longer, shorter. And I want to change the pitch, so let's try moving this up just a little bit. We have this one. Now the layering, I want this one in the middle and these two on the side. So I'll move this to the left and this one to the right. Now the problem is if I click this, it's only playing the first one. You might be wondering why. It's because of these different triggering modes. So one thing we can do is we want to change it for this to the all mode, so that way they all play together. But first I'll kind of explain what these triggering modes do. The first one is going to play just the first velocity layer here. And if I change the velocity layer, it's going to play the different ones depending on how hard I hit the drum. Here, it will depend on where you click it. So to the left, it's going to be very soft. And as we get further, it gets louder. So we can do the same thing there. So let's say if I made this 0 to 50 for velocity for the top layer, and the next one would be, let's say, 51 to 100. So if I play here, so you can see it's playing different samples depending on how hard I'm hitting it. So that can be very useful, but for this, we're not going to use it. For this, we want all of them to play at the same time, like this. Now this sounds good, but to me, it's not sounding so great. I want it to sound like multiple people clapping, and people can't all clap at the exact same time. So what we're gonna do is just delay this. We look here in the synthesizer 4 in, it already has a delay built in. We can just move that up. I don't know what I should put it at. Try like 11 for this, maybe 21. Let's see how this sounds. Okay, so there you have it. So I basically changed that and it sounds better to me. I can go in here, just have it play this pattern solo here. And then if I wanted to, I could just go here and add any effects I want, like equalizers, compressors, etc. So there we go. I think that's good there. Unsolo this here. And let's move to the next track. Let's try the same thing with, let's say, the drum. So for this one, I'll do kind of a little trick. So sometimes you have a drum track and you think it doesn't have enough top end. I want it to hit a little bit harder. So if I want that harder hit, I'll go here and I can add a layer like this. We're going to do something similar here. I'm going to use the synthesizer 4 in, but I'm actually not going to use a synthesized sound. What I really want to do is I want to get some just white noise. I could do that someplace else too, but I think this is probably the easiest. Go into editor here. Move this down just so you can see it clearly. I'm not going to mess with the oscillators or anything. We don't need that. Just go to noise. So noise has time here. So let's stretch this out. We can sync it to the song as well. So double click to 50. Check the envelope. That seems okay. Leave the band pass. They're not on for now. Let's just play this. Okay. I'll leave the EQ on there. So we have that. And set it to all again. Play them both together. White noise is way too loud. Move it down. Let's actually have this play here, and then we'll adjust it. So there we go. I got more pop out of the snare drum, and we can do a little bit more here. If you think, like, oh, that's not so good, I'll change the envelope back here, and we'll do it again, but let's mess with the band pass here. We can really get rid of some of that low end. Now we're getting everything. But if I turn this high pass on, actually put the resonance down a bit here, and we do this, we can get rid of some of the low end. It might be adding some muddiness. Around there. And we can do the same thing with the low pass here. This one I probably want to do in context, so I'll play both of these together. This just in a loop. So you can hear that helps you just get a little bit more crack out of your snare. So that's kind of a little thing if you think like, my snare drum's kind of getting drowned out in there. this can help. So unmute it, we'll play it again. Unmute all tracks. Play it again, and I'll kind of turn that on and off. So I think it adds a harder hit, and it just makes the snare easier to hear. So that's a way you can layer things. So I'd show you two ways to use this velocity layer here to create some layering in MDrummer. I use the synthesizer 4in, but of course you can use any of the sampler, multi-sampler, scratcher, etc. to layer things. If you want to add your own samples, if I had this one here, you can use this and check out your samples. Or you can even just drag and drop them in if you have your own sample you want to add. But let's go into the last way that might be I don't know if it's the best way. It takes longer, but you can get more satisfying results, in my opinion. So the way to do this is we're going to duplicate this track. So we'll have two bass drum ones. We won't actually duplicate it. We'll just hit plus here. We're going to hit bass drum one, boom. So we have two of them. One of them sounds like this. And the other one, this is where we're gonna add the stuff we want. So we'll look in here for a bass drum. Not sure exactly what I want here. Find one that hits hard. We'll take that. It's a little bit clicky. Let me see if I can find one that's a little bit more clicky. Eh. So we'll take this, and what I want to do is I want to get rid of the low end from this bass layer and get rid of the high end for this, so they mix together better. So I'll take this first. Let me solo it. Use the rhythm editor here. Okay, so we have the high end from that, and we'll do the same thing here. This one already has M Turbo EQ on it, so I'm just going to turn down the low pass filter with this. Okay, and now let's turn the soloing off and hear them together. There we go. So I just put a little bit more click on top with that extra layer. Now you might be wondering, okay, now we have two bass drums, but isn't this kind of annoying to mix? And the answer is yes. So we have this here, we have 2 bass drums. I probably want to mix these together. The good thing here is I can use batch modify to turn down both, or actually even as bass drum too if you want. So it's an easy way to kind of do all those. But you might think like, okay, I don't want to like just move the faders. I want to add effects to it and do other things. Let me show you how you can do that. So you see each of these has an output. So this one goes to 1. In fact, all these are going to 1. Over here, you have buses for snare, snare 2, hi-hats, etc. These are good to use, but actually there's something better, I think. Over here, you have out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, etc. Now, in a previous video, I showed you how you could use these for the multi-outs, but here I don't have a multi-out. This is just a single track. But it doesn't matter. We can still use this, and by using this, we can combine these together. So, turn this off here. Actually, I'll leave. What we're going to do is change all these and make these go from like 1 to the other outputs here. So bass goes to 1, maybe my snare drums probably go to 2, etc. And I can go and move all of these by hands, like, oh, okay, I need to move these to the toms, or each of these has to go to 4. But let's not waste time doing that. In the previous video, I showed you how to do this. It's fairly easy. Go to the drum set editor, go to advanced, and choose default output channels. This will set it up for you automatically. Loads associations of drums to output channels. This way you can keep your mappings after you load a different drum. Boom, got it. Look back here. 1, these go to 2, these go to 3, this one goes to 8, this one goes to 4, etc. Everything is in the right place. And now, if you see here, this is going to play both of them at the same time. All of them go out here. So if I play it again. And through there, I can add whatever effects I want. Here I have turbo compressor, but of course I could add something else. I have a limiter here on there. Also, these, they add it automatically, but you can press this and add whatever you want. So if I wanted to add some, I don't know, let's try some saturation here. So as you can hear, I'm putting the both samples, the lower pitch sample and the higher pitch, not really pitch, but the bass sample and the more treble slap sample together to create that. And then I'm mixing them together here with turbo comp, limiter, and saturation. But of course you could use EQ or whatever you want. By doing this, you can kind of create your own sounds. It's really easy and kind of fun too if you like drum layering. And you can do basically whatever you want. There's also sends here if you want. So this one you can see part of my bass drum is going to send with I think a convolution reverb on it. I can do the same thing here, the same amount, but you can also do it where like, oh, this one is more bassy. I'm going to turn this down, but the more treble one, I'll add, more to the reverb. So it's kind of up to you what you want to do, and this makes the layering really, not really. Is it simple? I don't know if it's simple or not, but it's useful. It's very versatile, and there's lots of things you can do with it. So by doing this, you can layer things quickly if you want using the first method, or by using this 2 bass drum or 2 snare drum method, you can get more complex with your layering and EQ things just the way you want them. Also, I only showed 2, but of course, you can do more than 2. Like you see bass drum 1 here, I could add another and another and another. So you can get lots and lots of layers. And you can combine this with that first technique and add a layer here too. So you're doing all sorts of crazy stuff, and you can get really wild with stacking lots and lots of different drums together. And as I said before, if you want your own samples here, just go to sampler and you can just drag and drop in here and you got it. So, or instead of factory, use custom. Hopefully that answered everything you might ever want to know about layering in MDrummer. If I didn't, be sure to leave any questions down below and I'll try to answer those. If you like this, give me a thumbs up and be sure to check out all the other plugins at meldaproduction.com. Till next time, see you.